a lot of hate that goes around, and any argument or any differences results in the first thing is somebody shooting them.
Local 4 News is the only station right there at the scene, and this is how it looks right now at Scott and 10th Streets, where gunfire rang out about 5:15 this afternoon.
Life. Because this world is so cruel now.
These days, everyone has guns, so that makes it a little tougher.
And they have been very active in our community over the last several years.
It's the choices a lot of our younger generation are making, though, because they feel like they have no hope.
How do we restore hope in children who have none? What can we do to curb the violence? Where do we begin as time runs out for children in troubled neighborhoods? We are truly fighting for our future. On this particular day in downtown Davenport, these children don't appear to have a care in the world. It's one of the many outings they get to enjoy through a program called Camp Excel Leadership Academy, a local program that brings kids together for activities they might not otherwise experience.
It's amazing. It's like putting a group of sweat hogs together, and it's like, how is this happening? You know, how are we getting these kids to mingle with one another? And once again, it's all about providing positive messages and positive attitudes towards the kids.
Matt McDowell launched the academy and works directly with the kids. We sat down with some of the kids who attend Camp Excel. We quickly learned this camp is in many cases a lifesaver, and if not that, it's certainly a path to a brighter future. What kind of other things do you guys like to do for fun?
Well, one time we went to that Bedplex. We went to the Bedplex. Sometimes we go tennis parks. We go golf. We go to golf. Now we don't go to golf. We don't go to golf anymore, but.
What was that like?
Fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Well, we want to create that Kodak moment. When you create that Kodak moment, once again, that's something that's for a lifetime. We want them talking, we want to have a 20-year reunion, and we want them to be talking about what they did when they went to see John Deere, or what they did when they went to Happy Joe's farm.
It's after these children leave the safety zone of Camp Excel and head home that their lives become volatile and in danger. What scares you guys the most? Anything scare you? Anything make you nervous?
Yeah.
What?
When people shoot. Me too. In my neighborhood.
So people shoot in your neighborhood?
Yeah.
What do you do when that happens?
I just go in my basement.
You go in your basement?
Yeah. I go with my sisters and my mom and my little brother.
How old's your little brother?
He's only 2.
How old are you?
6.
So how often do you hear shots, gunshots in your neighborhood?
It's not that often. It's just like 1 or 2 times a week, and then they stop.
A young life so accustomed to being surrounded by violence that hearing gunshots on a weekly basis doesn't seem frequent.
1 month ago, my cousin died.
How'd your cousin die?
Somebody shot him. He was at a party.
My uncle died too.
Yeah, it's sad.
Story after story revolves around gun violence. Some of your friends over there were talking about hearing gunshots and how that scared them. Do you guys ever hear gunshots?
Sometimes. Sometimes where my aunt lives.
What do you do when you hear gunshots?
I don't panic. I try to think of it like I'm not hearing them, but I get worried sometimes. Same.
Is it hard to not worry?
A little. Oh yeah, a little.
If you had to list your biggest fear, what is it?
One of my family members getting hurt by a gun. Yeah, that is the most scariest to me too.
In neighborhoods across the city, Davenport police have responded to 240 calls for shots fired this year alone. That's a 45% increase from last year. They have recovered more than 1,000 shell casings. 10 people have been murdered, some as young as 17, and too often teenagers were the ones pulling the trigger. Similar stats are being shared in other communities across the Quad Cities. But these children are more than just statistics. They're members of our community. They are our future. Unfortunately, too many times they are robbed of that future. Their lives are being taken way too young. Corey Harrell was 22 years old and the father of a young son when he was gunned down in broad daylight 2 years ago.
It hit home for me, and just the fact that that's the way that it happened, and in broad daylight.
A crime that's never been solved.
Justice for Corey!
So every year on the anniversary of his death, Corey's family holds a walk in his memory and asks the public to help bring his killer to justice.
It's an open wound. It truly is. Yes, we seek solace in our faith, but it still hurts.
Matt McDowell doesn't want these children to become a victim.
It's all about balance. Kids need balance. Once again, we're trying to give them the tools to put in their toolbox. If you're using a screwdriver and you need a wrench, that's the wrong tool. So as many times that we can give them positive feedback on how to deal with different situations, that helps us, then that'll help them.
An escape that's needed and embraced by the kids in this room.
Talk to me about what life is like for you.
Well, I go to school and I do homework after that. Then I usually ride my bike for a little bit, just get exercise. And then I talk with my friends a lot because they're close to me.
This 12-year-old is a young man with a plan. His life is much different than some of the other participants at Camp Excel. He doesn't hear gunshots in his neighborhood and has never had a family member targeted by violence. Still, he has friends who are in pain and he wants to help.
When I grow up, I want to be a psychologist and help people resolve their issues while also helping resolve some of my issues at the same time. So helping people while I help myself.
What sort of issues?
Sometimes I don't feel like myself. Like I feel sad, but not at a level of depression. Like I feel sad about what goes on around me or what's happening to my friends. So sometimes I feel sad about that stuff.
As he begins to open up about his friends and his own fears, it's easy to see that even without the sounds of gunshots in his neighborhood, he and his friends are still struggling.
One friend that I've had, she was cutting her ankles, and we could tell by her socks. She always wear white socks, and they were red.
Red due to the blood coming from her self-inflicted wounds. While he doesn't have physical signs of being targeted, there are other indications.
We've had some pretty open conversations with some of the other people here, and they talk about sometimes they think that they're targeted because of their skin color. Have you ever felt that?
Sometimes. Like, what was I going to say? Sometimes I feel like people don't want to hang out with me because of their stereotypes that they've made about black people.
He also says there is a feeling of inequality among people of color, even in his age group.
Like we're two separate races, one of them superior, one of them isn't. We're all the same race and we're all equal.
And even when violence erupts, he says many times black teens and adults are hesitant to call for help.
I've met a really nice police officers. Never met one that was rude in any way to me, so I'm not scared of them, but there's just an uneasy feeling when I'm around.
And perhaps that feeling has been passed on from previous generations. Chris Carr is in his 40s and says he still gets an uneasy feeling when he's followed by police.
I do, just, and not even just the recent stuff.
The recent stuff being the death of George Floyd in a town hundreds of miles away from us.
It's always when you get pulled over, you get scared automatically. But with the recent stuff, you get really worried. I mean, there's I'm a grown man. I can see a cop get behind me now, and I still tense up a little bit just because you don't know how it's gonna end up or going. If you may say the wrong thing, or if somebody's having a bad day, anything could go wrong at any minute, any moment of time.
Carr says he had encounters with police at a young age.
I'm 45, and even growing up in the Quad Cities, I had my little run-in, getting stopped by cops for different stuff, or I would say for no reason, just different stuff. My fear is that one of my kids have to go through something like that and how they would handle it.
Yet he tells us he believes the concerns of the black community are being heard and dealt with on a local level, specifically in Davenport.
And honestly, the chief, I think he's doing a good job of trying to get to everybody, relate, and deal with the topics.
How soon do we need to reach those children that are in those neighborhoods that have the most crime to be able to keep them from going down that path?
ASAP. You got to get them young as possible. You try to get them in the right direction. You got to give these kids something to do. A lot of kids get in trouble for not having enough to do, sitting around, thinking about what can they do.
When they don't have anything to do, mischievous kids, just like anyone else, anything can set in. If you're listening to someone that's telling you you're not a good person, you're going to keep thinking you're not a good person.
Officers are examining a car for potential damage from bullets. It's not clear if the man who was taken away by ambulance was hit by a bullet. We do know police found at least 13 shell casings at that location.
Still there are shots being fired, kids pulling the trigger.
That's what we're trying to do here, is give a positive environment. The whole idea is exposing them to as many things as possible. And the more exposure, the better off your life will be.
The stats show if kids are kept busy with activities in a positive environment, they have a higher success rate than those left to entertain themselves, especially when they are in contact with others who are already traveling down the wrong path.
What makes some of them want to do it and others not?
I really think it starts at home, but I think they want to be recognized. They want their name to be known as something. They want to be involved in something. And when they're not involved in something positive, you get this. What else left is out there is nothing but negative. And there's negative everywhere, you know.
We know the violence isn't slowing, and in fact, the incidents are increasing. In a 12-hour span recently, Davenport police responded to a car crash that began with two teens stealing a vehicle.
Right when he was running here, and he jumped over the fence, and I actually saw one of the police officers, instead of just like jumping over the fence, he kind of dived without any regard for his own safety on top of the suspect.
Just a few hours later,
like 3 big bangs, but somebody told me there was at least 5.
A 19-year-old gunned down just a few blocks away. On the same Sunday afternoon, just 5 hours after that murder, an argument erupts in a popular Davenport pizza restaurant frequented by families with young children.
And an ambulance just left the scene with the sirens on. I mean, there's crime scene tape everywhere, as you can see. Very, very heavy police presence.
That argument ended with a mother of 5 young children being gunned down in the middle of a birthday party.
This year we have had a pretty dramatic increase in shots fired calls. We've surpassed 200 already for 2020, and our non-fatal shootings have also risen quite a bit. And you know, we're not becoming callous to it. Although we have seen that in some of our neighborhoods where, you know, people sometimes just don't call us, but we want that interaction from our neighbors. We need to have our community involved.
Davenport Police Chief Paul Sikorsky tells me, regardless of the increase in crime, his city, for the most part, is safe.
And I think it's important that our community knows that the police department is working really hard for them. And we're working with the community, and that's really the equation for success. We need our community members to get involved in any way they can to help us curb this violent culture.
And the key to stopping the violence may lie in helping the teens who are pulling the trigger learn to let go of their anger.
Where's the anger coming from?
You know, home, dealing with different stuff. I think it starts at home.
And Carr again emphasizes the teens' desire to be noticed.
You know, some kids rely on sports to be recognized, and the sad fact is some of them rather be on a t-shirt or knowing their friend who got shot to get that publicity out.
Sometimes for these children, the feeling of alienation can have a severe impact.
How many friends do you have in your neighborhood?
I don't have any. I don't know. I don't even know.
You don't have any friends in your neighborhood? Why is that?
They're not nice.
They're not nice? Can you tell me why they're not nice? What do they do that makes them not nice?
They fight with me.
They do. Are they your age? Are they older?
They're older.
They're older.
Some of them.
They ever touch you? They hit you? Have they ever done that?
At 6 years old, he's already afraid to go outside in his neighborhood, and he's not alone.
If you have a greatest fear, what is it?
Probably being in that area of television and being probably dead.
You worry about that sometimes?
Yeah.
The images they sometimes see on television haunt them for days, sometimes weeks. Still, they do their best to look beyond the violence that surrounds them and plan for the future.
I want to be a teacher. And that's really mostly it.
I want to be a teacher too. That's what I've always wanted to be.
So how long have you been part of this program?
6 years.
As for this bright young lady, the past 6 years have had a tremendous impact.
It has definitely changed my life. It gives you way more experiences and keeps you out of trouble.
So give me some examples of how it's changed your life.
It definitely has made me learn how to get out of my comfort zone for talking to people and interacting with kids. And also it has helped me with my reading.
Where do you think you would have been if it hadn't been for this program?
My grades would have been very low, and I would have probably been in trouble a little bit more.
All trouble is behind her, and the future looks bright. She has her sights set on becoming an attorney.
So when you see these younger kids coming in, what goes through your mind?
That they're going to be something when they grow up, just because they're learning now and getting experience for the real world.
Do you feel like you're the big sister to some of them?
Yeah, they are definitely my little siblings.
And she has a message for those younger siblings.
I want to teach them that you don't have, what you see is not always what you have to do. You can be something else than just what you see on TV.
A message of hope, one that Matt McDowell wants these children to embrace and to share with others.
To be a leader, anyone can follow. To be a leader, we produce leaders. We won't even talk about following. We're going to produce leaders, and you're going to learn how to lead. We're going to give you the tools to lead, because that's what we're going to focus on, your leadership ability, no matter what area it's going to be.
From the future attorney.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to get those grades up and be an attorney, you're going to have to do that.
To the future teachers.
First grade.
First grade.
Fourth.
And that young man who wants to be a psychologist.
Help people resolve their issues while also helping resolve some of my issues at the same time. So helping people while I help myself.
There are children who can have a tremendous impact on the people around them.
Every day after lunch and yeah.
Kids don't care how much you know until you show and share how much you care. Show the kids that you care. We got more kids out there that they're not thugs. They're not drug dealers. We got some kids who are doing wonderful things. And you need to come to see and support the wonderful things that they're doing.
And there are already many success stories.
We have alumni from Camp Excel that have college graduates, professional basketball players, kids who are in college at this present time, kids who are now parents. So in the 9 years, we've seen it all. And we're so happy about it. And we think we're the best kept secret in the Quad Cities.
I, Ezra.
I, Xavier.
I, Janaea, pledge to expand my knowledge.
Pledge to expand my knowledge
To a level of excellence.
To a level of excellence.
By challenging myself to becoming effective.
In my journey towards being a leader.
In my journey towards being a leader.
In my journey towards being a leader.
Becoming effective in my journey towards being a leader.
You don't have to be a pro basketball player to be a superstar in the eyes of these children.
Yeah.
And you need to come to see and support the wonderful things that they're doing. And part of that support, of course, is financial support, but the other is volunteering. I mean, you guys even said that you would come out and read to the kids. Oh my goodness. That in itself, you know, when they saw the cameras, like, wow, you know, they got excited about it. Am I going to be on TV? Or the police coming in to read to them. You know, that in itself, you know, it's like, wow, you know, Sergeant so-and-so came and he read to us. It's like, and with the police getting a bad image, and then we got this good cop guy coming in here reading to them. Oh, okay, that's pizza pop and cops.
And while they work toward that bright future, they have a message for all of us.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
What can we do? How can we help you guys not be scared?
Make us feel better and talk to us. And we maybe give them a hug and it'd be nice.
If you know a child in need of help, there are numerous organizations ready to offer not only help, but hope.